Who told you you needed someone to feel whole, to feel loved, to feel important? Babe, you were never missing a piece. You were just too busy searching for it in someone else's pocket. But after this, oh no, you won't need anyone. Not their attention, their approval, their love, or their presence. Because you are about to remember who the hell you are. You are the one you've been waiting for. You always thought it was going to be someone else, didn't you? Someone to walk in, take your hand and say, I see you, I choose you. Let me save you. You spent nights praying for the one, scrolling through fairy tales, hoping to be seen, understood, and completed. But what if I told you no one is coming? Not because you're not worth it, but because you were always the hero of your own story. You just forgot. Think about it. How many times have you given your power away, waiting for a text, a call, an apology, a sign? That delay, that desperation. It's not love. It's amnesia. You've forgotten who you are. You've forgotten that the version of you that can hold herself through the storm, dry her own tears, smile through her scars, she's not weak. She's the one who was meant to rise. Look at your daily life. When your car breaks down, you don't sit there waiting for someone to magically appear. You call for help, you figure it out. You step up. But emotionally, spiritually, you've been sitting by a broken heart, waiting for someone else to fix it. Why? You've always had the tools. You've just been conditioned to forget your strength. You've waited for someone to say you're beautiful before you believed it. Waited for someone to appreciate your worth before you owned it. You've waited to be loved so you could finally love yourself. But darling, no mirror reflects more than the way you look at yourself. People can compliment you every day, but if you don't believe it, it won't stick. Self-worth doesn't come from their voice. It comes from your inner voice, finally getting louder than their noise. There's a woman who wakes up every morning, looks at her empty kitchen and says, I'll make breakfast for one and I'll enjoy every bite. There's a girl who goes to the movie alone and laughs louder than anyone else in that theater. There's a mother raising kids without a partner, figuring it out without complaint, because she became the protector and the provider. And there's you, sitting there underestimating the fire inside you while the world is watching and wondering, when is she going to realize what we already see? The truth is, we waste years looking for someone to hold our hand through the dark, not realizing we were born with our own light. It's dimmed by heartbreak, by rejection, by the lies we were told. You're too much. You're too independent. You'll end up alone. No, you're not too much. You were just never meant to be less. You've been breaking cycles, healing patterns, learning boundaries. That's not weakness. That's divine evolution. You've cried yourself to sleep and still woke up and made your bed. That's strength. You've been rejected but still chose to love again. That's bravery. You felt lonely but never lost your softness. That's queen energy. So stop waiting for a better day, a better person, a better love. Become the better version of you. Take yourself on dates. Speak kindly to the mirror. Get dressed like someone important is watching. Because someone is you. The inner you that's been craving to be chosen first. You're not missing your other half. You're missing your own loyalty to yourself. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're waking up to the truth that you were never broken. You are the one. The one who stays when everyone leaves. The one who dreams when everyone doubts. The one who rebuilds even when she's still bleeding. You don't need someone to come rescue you anymore. You just need to remember you are the rescue. Let that sink in. Because most of us walk through life believing that if we give love, we're entitled to receive it back. That if we're kind, loyal, giving, soft and forgiving, someone will do the same for us. And when they don't, we feel betrayed. But here's the truth that sets you free. Love is not a transaction, it's an expression. You love because it's who you are, not because someone owes you something in return. You've probably been in a situation where you poured your heart out texted first, showed up, stayed late, forgave too soon, because you believed they'd eventually see your worth. But let's be honest. What hurts more than heartbreak is realizing they never saw it the way you hoped they would. And that's where it hits you. No one is obligated to love you the way you imagined, but you are responsible for loving yourself in the way you've always deserved. Look around you. How many women do you know waiting for someone to show them love before they give it to themselves? Waiting for a man to take them on a date before they dress up. Waiting for a friend to compliment them before they feel pretty. Waiting for someone to say you matter before they believe they do. But why? Why give that much power to someone else's ability to see you? A flower doesn't bloom because someone stops to admire it. It blooms because that's what it was designed to do. You don't need permission to be radiant. You just need the courage to stop waiting. There's a girl right now walking through a store holding her head high, even though no one has told her I love you in years. There's a woman paying her own bills, buying her own flowers, and going to sleep in an empty bed without feeling empty inside. That's not loneliness. That's power. Because she's learned something many people never do. Your first responsibility is not to be loved by others. It's to be loved by yourself. Radically, deeply, and without hesitation. Have you ever noticed how freely we love others? How quickly we forgive their mistakes? How gently we handle their insecurities? But when it comes to ourselves, we criticize, we doubt, we shrink. If you gave your best friend the same treatment you give to yourself, would they feel safe? No. So why are you making yourself feel like you need to earn your own affection? Here's the hard pill. You don't need someone to treat you right to start treating yourself right. If you feel like you're always at the mercy of someone else's love, you've already betrayed yourself. Love isn't something you beg for, it's something you build inside. And when you build it from within, you stop seeking it like a hungry soul. You become it. You radiate it. You attract it. Think about the last time someone disappointed you. You probably said, how could they do this to me after all I've done for them? But sweetheart, they didn't betray your love. They simply didn't know how to hold it. That doesn't mean you stop giving. It means you start giving to yourself first. Make yourself a priority even when no one else does. Buy the dress, light the candles, book the trip, speak kindly to yourself in the mirror. Stop waiting to be invited into love. Create your own sanctuary of it. Every morning, remind yourself, even if the world forgets me today, I will not forget me. When you finally love yourself, on the days you feel ugly, unwanted, forgotten or misunderstood, that's real love. That's unshakable. That's yours. And nobody can take that away from you because it wasn't borrowed. It was born inside you, nurtured by you, protected by you. And that's a kind of love no one else can ever owe you because it's already been paid in full. It starts small. A like on your photo. A compliment from a stranger. A you did great from someone you admire. And it feels good. Almost too good. It's a high. A rush of dopamine. Your heart races a little. Your confidence spikes. You start to believe, I'm seen. I'm enough. I matter. But here's where the trap lies. You start depending on it. You start needing it. And soon, without realizing, you're chasing approval like an addict chasing their next hit. Think about it. How many times have you posted something and then waited for the likes? How many times have you looked at someone before making a decision and asked yourself, what will they think of me? How many outfits have you not worn because you were scared it was too much? How many dreams have you buried alive because someone raised an eyebrow? That's what validation does. It hijacks your authenticity and sells it back to you in exchange for approval. There's a girl who stood in front of the mirror today and changed her outfit 5 times. Not because she didn't love what she was wearing, but because she was afraid they wouldn't. There's a woman sitting in a job she hates, showing up every day because her family thinks it's respectable. There's a teenager deleting her artwork because her friends didn't hype her up enough. All of them addicted to validation, craving permission to be who they already are. But what if I told you this? The day you stop needing validation is the day you become truly dangerous. Because when you no longer ask for permission to live, to speak, to shine, you become unstoppable. When you don't care whether they clap or criticize, you move from the core of your soul, not from the shadow of their opinions. Validation is tricky. It disguises itself as encouragement, but if you rely on it too much, you start performing instead of living. You become a puppet to applause, not a force of presence. And what's worse, the more you chase it, the more you lose yourself. You stop asking, does this feel right to me? And start asking, will they like this? Here's a reality check. No matter how perfectly you perform, someone will still find fault. No matter how beautifully you shine, someone will say it's too bright. You can shrink to fit into their comfort, and they'll still complain you take up space. So why not take up all the space you were meant to? Have you ever noticed how kids dance? Wild, free, offbeat. They don't care who's watching. They dance because they feel the music. That's purity. That's power. And somewhere along the way, we stopped dancing. We got too self-aware, too scared to look silly, too trained to seek approval. But your life is not a stage for public judgment. It's a battlefield of soul expression. And you owe it to yourself to live unfiltered. Every time you hesitate to speak your truth because someone might not agree, you silence your own power. Every time you change who you are to please a crowd, you cheat yourself out of your magic. You don't need a round of applause to know you're worthy. You don't need compliments to know you're radiant. You don't need validation to prove you belong. You are not a product for people to rate. You are a masterpiece in motion. Growing, shift, evolving. And the people who truly matter will never need you to shrink for their comfort. So stop adjusting the volume of your spirit to match someone else's preferences. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every insult deserves your energy. Not every betrayal deserves your explanation. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to say absolutely nothing. Because silence, when used with intention, is louder than any scream. It doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it simply is. And in a world addicted to noise, your silence becomes a mystery. A message, a mirror. There's a woman right now who stopped replying to the man who kept stringing her along with half-effort love and sweet nothings. Not because she didn't have something to say, but because she realized her silence would echo louder in his ears than 1,000 angry texts ever could. Silence says, you don't deserve the version of me that speaks just to be heard. It's not weakness, it's dominance, it's strategy. It's knowing when the battlefield isn't worth stepping on because you've already won by walking away. We are conditioned to explain ourselves, to defend our worth, to prove we're not the villain in someone else's story. But hear this. When you know your truth, you don't need to convince anyone of it. Silence becomes your boundary, your shield, your crown. And those who can't handle it, they were never meant to sit at your table anyway. There's a girl at work being misunderstood, maybe even hated for being different, for shining too bright. The gossip circles around her, but she doesn't flinch. She doesn't respond. And people start wondering why. Why won't she defend herself? Why won't she retaliate? Because she knows the more you speak, the more you give them to twist. But when you stay silent, they choke on their assumptions. That's power. That's elegance. Silence is not avoidance, it's precision. It's saying, I could destroy you with the truth, but I choose peace instead. Because some battles aren't worth fighting. Not because you're scared, but because you're above them. When someone disrespects you, let your silence be the weight of your dignity. When someone tries to manipulate you, let your silence show them that they no longer have access to your mind. Think of every queen in history. Did she shout to prove her strength? No. Her silence commanded attention. Her pause created tension. Her grace broke walls. Because when you stop feeding chaos with reactions, you starve it. You let the noise eat itself. And in that stillness, you rise untouched. There's a moment in every woman's life where she wants to explode, scream at the world, shake people for not seeing her, cry for being unseen. But the moment she chooses silence over breakdown, composure over chaos. That's her turning point. That's when she realizes her energy is too sacred for pettiness. She doesn't need to react. She just needs to refocus. Imagine someone trying to push your buttons and finding none. Imagine someone trying to test your peace and all they get is your absence. That's not coldness. That's evolution. Because silence doesn't mean you didn't notice. It means you noticed everything and decided it wasn't worthy of your voice. Silence is not emptiness. It's fullness held back. It's saying, I know what I bring and I won't waste it on those who don't. Let them wonder, let them replay their words, searching for a reaction that will never come. Let them sit in the discomfort of their own echo, because your silence just exposed them more than your words ever could. Use silence like a sword, not to harm, but to protect, not to escape, but to elevate. Because a woman who can stay silent in a storm doesn't lack the fire, she simply mastered the art of controlling it. The right people don't come when you beg, they come when you bloom. You can cry, you can plead, you can shrink yourself into silence or stretch yourself into desperation. But no matter how much you chase, force or explain, the people who are meant to stay will never need to be begged to understand your value. And the people who walk away, let them walk. Because real ones don't come when you collapse. They come when you rise. There's a woman somewhere right now, sitting on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone, waiting for a reply that may never come. She's replaying every conversation in her head, wondering what she said wrong, if she was too much or not enough. She's ready to apologize for things she didn't even do, all because she's afraid of losing someone who already left in silence. But what she hasn't realized is this. You don't have to bleed to make someone stay. Begging is born from the illusion that you're not whole on your own. But blooming is power. It's saying, I will grow with or without applause. I will rise whether or not you see me. I will blossom not because you came back, but because I never gave up on myself. Think of a flower. It doesn't chase the bees. It doesn't scream for the sun to shine. It simply blooms. And when it does, the right energy comes to it. Butterflies, sunlight, rain. That's nature. That's alignment. You never see a rose running after someone trying to prove its beauty. So why should you? We've been conditioned to believe love has to be fought for with suffering, that we need to lower our standards to keep people close, that if we don't text first, we'll be forgotten. But the truth is, love that needs to be begged for is not love. It's manipulation wearing affection as perfume. And darling, you were not born to grovel. I knew a woman once who lost herself in a relationship. She stopped wearing red because he didn't like it, stopped laughing loud, stopped dreaming big. She kept giving and giving, hoping one day he'd see her worth, but he never did. Until one day she stopped begging. She started blooming. She traveled alone, built her business, rediscovered the fire in her soul. And guess what? He came back. But not because she begged, because her glow was undeniable. Let this be your reminder. The right people are drawn to your light, not your pain. They will not be scared of your growth, your ambition, your truth. They will not ask you to shrink so they can feel tall. They will clap when you win. They will love the unedited version of you. Stop trying to prove you're worthy of staying. Start proving to yourself that even if they leave, you'll still rise. Focus on blooming so powerfully that you forget you ever needed to be chased. Pour into yourself. Water your own roots. Build your own peace. Because when you elevate, you don't have to search for your tribe. They find you. Imagine someone walking into your life not because you begged them to stay, but because they couldn't resist the force of your transformation. Imagine meeting people who value your silence, who match your energy, who admire your strength. That kind of connection, it doesn't come when you plead. It comes when you bloom unapologetically. The moment you choose growth over validation, peace over chaos, and self-worth over temporary attention, that's the moment the right people start showing up. Not to fix you, but to grow with you, but to complement your wholeness. Because when you bloom, you become a magnet, not for attention, but for alignment. You thought it was the end, didn't you? That phone call that never came, that message left on read, the job you were perfect for that slipped right through your fingers, the friend who ghosted you when you needed them most. You stood there holding your heart like broken glass, wondering what you did wrong, wondering why you weren't enough. But hear this, rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It's a divine reroute towards something better, something bigger, something built for you. Sometimes life slams a door so loudly you think it's punishment, but it's not. It's protection. You didn't lose them. They lost the version of you that still believed you needed their approval to feel valuable. Because truthfully, you didn't get rejected. You got released from what was never meant to hold you in the first place. There's a girl who gave her heart to a man who said she wasn't the one. She spiraled. She begged the universe to give her another chance, to make him stay. But months later, she met someone who didn't question her, who didn't run from her fire, who saw her chaos and said, I love you through it. That earlier no, it wasn't rejection. It was redirection toward a love that actually deserved her depth. You applied for that dream position, prepared for weeks, showed up polished and passionate, and they still chose someone else. Your confidence cracked. But weeks later, you stumbled into an opportunity so wild, so aligned, that it felt written for your soul. And suddenly you understood. The thing you thought you wanted wasn't the thing that was going to grow you. We attach ourselves so tightly to outcomes that we forget the bigger plan. Sometimes what you think is the destination is only a pit stop. Sometimes you're being delayed not because you failed, but because timing is everything. You're not being punished. You're being positioned for something that requires the version of you that hasn't arrived yet. And sometimes the only way to meet that version is to walk through the fire of rejection. I know a woman who started a business after being fired from her job. She cried for days, ashamed and angry. But that rejection forced her to tap into her own creativity. Today, she hires people. That email that crushed her, it was her initiation. The no that shattered her comfort zone, it birthed her empire. You need to rewire your reaction to rejection. Don't crumble, get curious, ask yourself, what is this trying to show me? Because often, the most painful endings are just beginning in disguise. Sometimes the people who leave are simply clearing space for the people who will stay. Sometimes the plans that fall apart are making room for miracles you didn't even see coming. And when someone doesn't choose you, thank them, not out of sarcasm, but from deep, powerful gratitude. Because they freed you to choose yourself. They freed you to level up. They freed you to meet someone or something that sees your light and says, finally, there you are. Your job is not to take rejection as a scar. It's to take it as a signpost, a map, a push toward your purpose, toward your strength, toward your next level. Because what is meant for you will never require you to beg, break, or betray your essence. So hold your head high when the door closes. Walk away when they say no. Smile when life says not this one. Because behind every rejection is a reroute. And behind every reroute is a version of you waiting to rise. We live in a world that glorifies being surrounded by friends, by noise, by validation, by company. But no one teaches you how to sit in silence with yourself and realize that being alone is not your weakness, it is your weapon. When you master solitude, you become unshakable. Because there is a kind of peace that only comes when the world quiets down and you finally hear your own voice without the echo of everyone else's opinions. There's a girl sitting at a cafe alone, sipping her coffee, scrolling through her phone to avoid the stares. She feels awkward because we've romanticized togetherness and stigmatized solitude. But what if I told you that the person who dares to sit alone is often the strongest in the room? Because she's not afraid to be seen without a crowd to validate her existence. Because she knows her worth doesn't shrink in silence. Being alone is where the healing happens. It's where clarity rises to the surface, like sunlight through water. When you're alone, there's no one to lie to, no mask to wear. You meet the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. The one who's been hidden under layers of people-pleasing, performing, pretending. That's not loneliness, that's sacred space. That's where power is born. Think of monks, think of leaders, think of warriors. They all train in solitude. They go inward before they go outward. Why? Because if you can't sit with yourself, how can you stand with others? If you can't face your own shadow, you'll keep casting it on everyone you meet. There's a woman who left a toxic relationship and spent a year alone. No dates, no distractions, just herself, a journal, and the quiet. People asked her, "Aren't you lonely?" And she said, "No, I'm finally home." She found herself in the stillness. She found her boundaries, her passions, her voice. And when she stepped back into the world, she didn't settle, because she knew that being alone was never her punishment. It was her preparation. Being alone teaches you that your energy is sacred, that your peace is priceless. You stop begging for breadcrumbs of affection. You stop tolerating half-loves and conditional friendships. You start choosing quality over quantity. You become so rooted in yourself that anyone who wants access to you has to rise to your level. That's power. That's not loneliness. That's legacy. You ever watch a tree grow? It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need constant company. It just roots deeper, grows taller, and touches the sky in silence. That's what solitude does to you. It grounds you. It grows you. It shows you that your growth isn't dependent on who's watching. It's dependent on your willingness to water yourself. There's something divine about waking up alone and loving the person you rise with. Something spiritual about walking into a room full of people and knowing that your worth came with you, not from them. Something unstoppable about realizing that the silence you once feared is now your sanctuary, your creative space, your healing space, your becoming space. Let the world think you're alone. Let them whisper, let them misunderstand. Because while they chase noise, you are building an empire in stillness. While they fear the quiet, you are meeting the most powerful version of yourself in it. Solitude isn't emptiness. It's full of answers. It's full of wisdom. It's full of fire. The kind that burns away what no longer serves you. The kind that makes you rise without needing permission, applause, or attachment. And once you know the magic of your own company, you stop fearing absence. You start demanding presence. Real presence. Aligned presence. The kind that matches the sacredness of your solitude. You are the storm. Stop waiting for sunshine. You keep sitting by the window, waiting for the perfect day, waiting for peace to come wrapped in calm, waiting for approval to bloom before you dare to grow. But what if the peace you seek was never in the sunshine? What if you were never made to be delicate and soft like a petal in spring? What if you were made to shake the sky, to thunder through life with unapologetic force and power? From a young age, they taught you to be gentle, be patient, wait your turn. But storms don't wait. Storms arrive unapologetic, necessary, cleansing. You were not born to be a decoration. You were born to be a declaration. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. A girl walks into a boardroom where she's the only woman, the youngest one, and everyone doubts her voice before she even speaks. She can feel the pressure to smile more, shrink more, agree more. But instead, she speaks like thunder, sharp, clear, unshaken. She doesn't wait for the room to give her space. She takes it. That's not arrogance. That's her storm speaking. And you have that storm in you too. You just forgot. You've been taught to chase light, to seek validation, to feel seen only when it's calm. But storms don't ask for visibility, they create it. When a storm rolls in, everyone notices. That's the kind of presence you were born with, not to be the quiet one in the back, but the force in the front. The one who breaks patterns, not follows them. You were made to disrupt the silence, not dissolve in it. You've been waiting for things to be just right before you move, when people support you, when you have more money, when love feels secure, when the path is clear. But storms don't wait for clearance. They create change. They are chaos that births clarity. Why wait for peace to make a move when you are the energy that shifts everything around you? There's a woman who lost her job, her partner, and a sense of identity, all in 1 year. She sat there staring at the wreckage of what used to be her life. And then something clicked. She stopped asking the world to fix it. She became the storm. She launched her business. She traveled alone. She became the woman she used to look for in others. She realized that the breakdown was never the end. It was the thunder that woke up her power. We are so conditioned to fear our own intensity, to tone it down, to be more digestible. But what if your fire is the very thing that will light up your path? What if your too much is exactly what this world needs? Storms don't apologize, they renew, they rebuild, and so do you. You keep looking for heroes, saviors, someone to understand your chaos and tell you it's okay. But what if you stopped waiting for someone to rescue you from the rain? What if you stood in it, arms open, unbothered? What if you let it fuel you instead of drown you? Some of the most powerful transformations happen not when everything is calm, but when everything is falling apart. Because the storm doesn't destroy you, it reveals you. It washes away what you no longer need. It clears the path for who you were always meant to become. So, stop waiting for sunshine. You are the lightning. You are the force. You are the change. You are not made to survive storms. You are made to be one. When you embrace that, you stop shrinking for comfort and start rising for purpose. And that's when your real power begins. You've been told your whole life to wait for love, wait for permission, wait for the right time. But the truth is, time doesn't wait for anyone. And neither should you. You don't need a crown to know you're a queen. You don't need an audience to know your worth. You don't need sunshine to bloom. Because the light you've been searching for has always been you. No one is coming to rescue you because you are not in distress. You are in transformation. You're not broken, you're becoming. Every scar, every silence, every setback was shaping you into someone the world couldn't ignore. That version of you that rises after being torn apart, that's the one they won't see coming. That's the version of you who doesn't knock on doors anymore. She builds her own. Listen to me. You are not too emotional. You are not too intense. You are not too much. You are a force. And if someone tells you otherwise, let them choke on their smallness. Because you weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out, to stand tall, and to stand alone if you have to. You're not asking for attention, you're commanding presence. You're not begging for love, you are becoming love. You don't wait to be chosen, you choose yourself every damn day. And in that decision, you become unstoppable. They told you to be humble, to stay quiet, to be the good girl. But good girls rarely make history, and humble women rarely get heard. So speak loud, walk proud, and wear your confidence like a crown no one can take. Because when you stop shrinking, you make space for the world to rise to your level. And let me tell you something, when a woman knows her worth, she becomes the most powerful force on earth. Remember this, you are not behind. You are not lost. You are in the process of building something sacred. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Your journey isn't late. It's legendary. And legends take time. You're not waiting, you're preparing. You're not being rejected, you're being redirected. You're not being left out, you're being leveled up. And when the world tries to break you, show them your scars like medals. Wear your pain like power, because diamonds are made under pressure and queens are forged in fire. You are the fire. You are not fragile. You are not disposable. You are not someone's afterthought. You are the main event, the whole storm, the final answer. There will be days when you question everything, when silence feels loud, when being alone feels like a curse. But don't run from those days. Own them. Because the woman who sits with her pain without numbing it, who dances with her chaos without apologizing for it, who chooses herself when no one else does, she becomes the woman every little girl needs to see and every man secretly fears. And if they ever try to dim your light, blind them. If they try to mute your voice, roar. If they try to shame your strength, stand taller. Because this world doesn't need more women who play small to be liked. It needs women who play big to be free. This is your time. Not tomorrow. Not when you're perfect. Not when you're loved. Now. Because you've always been enough. And now you finally believe it. So don't walk out of here hoping to be seen. Walk out like you know you were born to be unforgettable. And when they ask who you are, don't even answer. Let your energy respond. Let your success speak. Let your silence scream. You don't need the storm to pass. Because you are the storm.